In the previous video, I showed you how to set up this UI collection view. We made the cells take up the full size of the screen, and we can swipe through them. But in today's video, I want to show you how to make custom cells. As it stands right now, we have these really boring cells. The only thing we can really change here is the color. We don't have any labels or images or anything of that sort. All we have are just these blank cells. So let's start customizing them. For the sake of this video, I'm not going to have these cells take up the full size of the screen. I'm going to adjust the height here. Instead of taking up the full height, I'm going to make it 60. And we're going to have to make this a CG float. Cool. And we're swiping horizontally. I want to be able to swipe vertically. So we're going to go back into our scene delegate and change it to vertical scrolling. I don't like how it's taking up the full width of the screen now that I'm looking at it. I want to get it to maybe 94% of the screen. So we're going to go to where we defined our width. And we're going to say times 0.94. What this is going to do is it's going to do a calculation. It's going to see how many pixels the screen is wide and multiply it by 0.94. And that should give us 94% of the screen's width. And you could see that right here. You can also play around with it. You can make it 50% or 65% of the screen's width. And we get them even smaller. Since it's a percentage as a decimal, we can go from 0.00 all the way to out of 1.0. So this is our range. I want it to be 65%. As a decimal, that's 0.65. Let's go back to 94% of the screen. Alright, we're not here to change the size of the cells. We're here to make custom cells. So let's create a new file. It's going to be a Swift file. And I'm going to call this custom cell. But you can call it whatever you want. So we have our custom cell file right here. And let's start creating our UI collection view cell. The first thing we have to do is change foundation to UI kit. Otherwise, our UI elements won't be available. Now we define a class. We're going to say class custom cell, and it has to be of type UI collection view cell. Put an opening curly brace, enter. It will close the curly brace for us. Okay, we need to write two important functions here. The first function is an initializer function. So we're going to type in init. We see there's a few different ones. There's initialize, there's init frame, and init coder. We want init frame, and we have to type super.init and then frame. So we're just passing the frame into this function. Now we're going to get an error right here that says that the required initializer must be provided by the subclass of UICollectionViewCell. It's going to tell you that you need to insert this right here. The easiest thing you can do is just press fix and it'll add it for you. You don't have to memorize how to write this. Okay, that's done. Let's go back to our view controller. And over here where we registered a UICollectionViewCell, we can pass in our custom cell instead. And down here, where we said let cell equal collectionView.dq reusable cell, at the very end of that, we have to put as, exclamation point, custom cell. And if we run this, nothing's really going to change here. Everything seems exactly the same. That's because we didn't really make any changes. Before we had a blank UI collection view cell, and now we just made another blank UI collection view cell, but now we can do all this setup in this class. Let's work on customizing these cells. Right above this initializer function, we're going to define an image view. We're going to say let image view equal UI image view. Now let's create a function that's going to add this image view to our cell. Underneath the initializer function, we're going to say func, and we're going to call it setUpCell. If you remember in the auto layout video, we were adding elements to our view using view.addSubView. This isn't going to work because we don't have a view in our UI collection view cell. You have two ways of adding something. You can use self.addSubView, or the correct thing to do would be to use contentView.addSubView. Let's add that image view we just created. Before we do that, we have to say imageView.translates auto resizing mask into constraints, set that equal to false. And now we could add our image view. And let's center it in the middle of the cell. So we're going to say imageView.centerXanchor.constraint equal to contentView.centerXanchor. Activate that. And then we're going to do the same thing for the Y. We also need to pass a width and height. So image view dot width anchor dot constraint. I'm going to make that equal to 40. And the same thing for the height. And just so we can see our image view, we're going to give it a background color of cyan. So we wrote our setup function, now we need to call it. So we're going to go into our initializer function over here, and we're going to call setUpCell. Let's run this. And there we go. We have an image view perfectly centered in the middle of our cell. Awesome. That's the first step of customizing our cell. It's kind of boring, but we can make it more fun. Let's figure out a layout that we want to do. I want to do something like a music app where we're going to have the song's image right here. We're going to have the title of the song, and then we're going to have the author. That's how we're going to customize our cells in this video. So the first step to get to that layout is we have to move our image view over to the left over here. So instead of centering it over here in the X and Y anchor, we're going to leave the Y anchored constraint, but we want it almost touching the left side. So I'm going to remove this center X constraint, and I'm going to say image view dot left anchor dot constraint, and I'm going to use the equal to with constant. We're going to say content view dot left anchor, and we're going to put a constant of 8. We're going to activate that also. Perfect. This is looking really good so far. Before we move on, I want to clean up the code up here. I'm going to reference the auto layout video again. If you remember, this is not a clean way of doing things because we have all of our setup over here and it's starting to get really messy. I want to set up the image view even more, and having it in this function isn't the neatest thing we can do. I'm going to recreate this image view over here. I'm going to say let image view. I'm going to put a colon, make it a UI image view, equal sign, open curly brace, close curly brace, and at the very end of that, we're going to put parentheses. We can get rid of this now. And over here is going to be all of the setup. I'm going to say let IV equal UI image view. And we're going to return that image view. And all of this setup we can do in this closure. Let's run it to make sure everything works. Yep, everything works again. It's just much neater and all in one closure instead of over here and in our function. Okay, I want to show you now how to pass an image into this image view. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into our assets right here, and we're going to open up Finder. You can see here I have a picture called channellogo.png, or just channel logo. I'm going to take it and I can drop it into this assets folder, just like that. It's very important that all of the images you're going to use for the project are in this assets folder. You can't reference an image that's on your desktop but not in here. Your project won't be able to find that image. All of your pictures must go in here. Now, when we go to our custom cell, we can say iv.image equal UI image named, and we're going to give it the name of this picture we just added. Mine is called channel logo, and we're going to type it exactly like that. It's important that all of the capitalization and the spaces are the same. Let's run it now. And there we go. All of our cell's image views now show the channel logo, or they show the picture that we passed. Great. Now let's add the song's title. For that, we're going to use a label. So we're going to go back to our custom cell, and we're going to type in let song title label. We're going to make it a UI label. And we're going to type let label equal UI label, return that label, and we're going to say label.translates auto resizing mask into constraints equals false. And now we can pass a text. My text is going to be song name. And we want it to be on the right side of this logo. So we're going to go over here to our setup cell function, and we're going to say content view dot add subview song title label. And we're going to say that the left anchor is going to be constrained to the image view's right anchor, and we'll give it a padding of, let's do 4 for now. Activate that, Okay, we're going to run this. And we see that our song name label is touching the right side of the image view, but it's floating up in the air over here. Let's center it relative to the image view's Y anchor. Alright, so we have our song name label over here, and right below it we should have our author's name. So let's create another label, and we're going to call it author name. I'm going to copy the code from over here and change the name of the label to author name label, and make it say author name instead of song name. Okay, so we created our author name label, but how do we add it to our cell so that we have the song name label and then the author name label right under it? Now, your first instinct might be to add it the same way we did before. We're going to say contentview.addSubview, author name label, and you might be thinking that you could just constrain the top anchor to the song title label's bottom anchor. And you might also get the left anchor touching the image view's right anchor with a constant of 4. So same thing we did before, but you're going to see that's not really the best way to do it because now our layout is a bit awkward. And you might be thinking, okay, I can just go over here where we defined center Y anchor and offset it slightly. It's looking better here, and you might keep playing around with this value to get it to look perfectly centered, but that's not the cleanest way of going about it. There's a UI element which is perfect for this, which allows us to stack UI views either vertically or horizontally. And then you could just constrain that one UI element to wherever you want it to be without worrying about everything inside of it. So we don't have to individually constrain song name and author name. And that UI element is called a stack view. We're going to say let stack view equal UI stack view. We're going to open parenthesis, and we have this property called arrange subviews. And in here, it's expecting an array of UI views. We're going to put our square brackets, and we're going to give it our song title label, and then our author name label. Now we say stackView.axis equals to, and we have two options. We have horizontal and vertical. Because we want our elements one on top of the other, vertically, we're going to use .vertical. And the exact same thing we were doing before of setting the auto resizing mask into constraints equals false, we also have to do that for our stack view because that's also a UI element. So we're going to say stack view dot translates auto resizing mask into constraints, set that equal to false. Now instead of constraining both labels or both UI elements over here, we only have to worry about one, our stack view. So I'm going to erase the code right here that sets up our author name label, and I'm going to change contentview.addSubview. We're going to add our stack view instead, and we're going to change song title label to stack view. And we should get rid of this constant over here because we want it perfectly centered in the Y anchor and we don't want any offsets. We're going to run this. Perfect. This is exactly what we want, and it was much easier to set up. There's also another property in case you want to know it. It's called stackView.spacing. And over here you can make it whatever value you want. So let's see what it looks like with a spacing of 10. That's pretty far. Or you can make it 6. By default, I believe it's 0. I have to double check that, but I think it's 0. Here's what it looks like now. And if I comment that out to use the default spacing, it looks about the same. So by default, stack view spacing is 0. Okay, gonna get rid of this property. Alright, so we learned a lot today. We learned how to create a custom UI collection view cell, how to pass it to our collection view. We learned how to set it up, how to add subviews, and we even learned what a UI stack view was. So we're looking pretty good for today. So this is what our app looks like for now, and we're going to leave it at this for today. If you'd like to see a continuation of this project and how to populate a UI collection view with data from an array, stay tuned for the next video. If you have any questions, leave them down below and I'll do my best to answer them as quickly as I can. As always, thank you guys for watching. See you next time.